Blog Talk Radio.
Here we go with the main event of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen in attendance, Clemson fans joining us around the world. It's time for the Matthew Ball we've been waiting for. Finally, it is showtime.
Here, man, we dedicate our life to this sport. We do thousands of sit-ups in camp. We run hundreds of miles, for the ones that take it serious. And we just dedicate ourselves fully to our craft, man. We watch tape. We have attitude. We rooting, and we go into that fight to land on the line.
College football fans, the College Ball Show returns. I'm Chris, he's Marshall, and we're here to discuss, banter, predict everything to do with college football. And actually, I look right now, heading into the fourth quarter just started. Steelers up 31-28. So we are back from our little hiatus that we took right around the holiday stuff, kind of letting these bowl games come to us. Obviously, the really interesting games start tomorrow. Now, don't get me wrong. There's been several games that I've watched, and my co-host and I will kind of just take a little bit of time early to talk about maybe a game or something like that, couple of games that we've seen or, that type of thing. And then we're going to get right into previewing, predicting all the big matchups. Obviously, Bama against Oklahoma. Name recognition, that's a huge one. And that is a national semifinalist. Same with Clemson and Notre Dame. Of course, we're going to cover that stuff. But we're going to cover the other games, too. Not just the Texas, Georgia, and the Washington, Ohio State. Not just those, but the UK Penn State. Kind of an interesting matchup with Central Florida and LSU, although obviously Central Florida not having their QB now. So a variety of games we're definitely going to get into. But right about now, I'm going to go ahead and bring in my co-host and see what's going on with him. What's going on, Marshall? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, man. Just, like you said, getting ready for college football. We had a nice little day of All-NBA for Christmas. Now it's time to get more serious with the bowl games.
That's a good point. We did have a night. I do like that. I mean, I guess it sucks.
I do too.
I know it sucks for the families, but they usually just do it like the chunk of days before and whatnot. But as far as from a fan perspective, to have 10 teams playing in 5 games, it's pretty cool because you can kind of just bounce in and bounce out of it as the day goes on, and you can basically see like all of the end of the games too if you're really keeping track. But as far as what bowls have taken place already, we're just going to kind of talk about a handful of them. I did watch that Fresno Arizona State. Arizona State is a team that we definitely kind of followed because of the new head coach. Kind of wanted to see, being out of not just out of coaching for a while and, on TV and whatnot, Herm Edwards, but out of college football for a while. And it just kind of piqued our interest at the beginning of the year thinking, I wonder how he's going to do. And I thought their team performed pretty well considering what they were working with this year. It'll be interesting to see, how that transpires there. But Fresno State, 31-20, ended up getting the job done there. As far as the Gophers, Minnesota Gophers, that is a team that it looks like they're going to end up in the top. They may even they'll probably end up in the top 20 because they're 21 now, so they already won. So I watched a chunk of that game. I did watch last night I did watch, a fair amount of the Cal TCU. I ended up DVRing it, checking out the last part of it. Pretty slow game, a lot of interceptions from both sides. As far as the Gophers, Minnesota Gophers, my two teams that I follow are the Minnesota Gophers and Miami. And Miami just got their ass kicked tonight. And for some reason, the head coach went with the senior guy, the redshirt senior again. It's like, dude, he's leaving. Why does he need to even get any playing time? We need to go with the youngster. Anyway. But so they got their ass kicked. I saw it, as I was working tonight. But my Minnesota Gophers.
You didn't hear?
What's that?
Came
back. They came
all
the way back. No, I'm just kidding.
The quarterback was benched for insensitive tweets, so that's why he didn't play the first half.
I knew that. Yeah, I knew that.
Oh,
I knew that.
Oh,
but
okay.
He wasn't. He actually still was deciding. So.
Oh, okay. All right.
That was a late in the process thing. So yeah, no, I knew that a while ago. But anyway, either way, play the other young quarterback then. We got other young quarterbacks too. No point. We know what this guy does. So what's the point? You know what I mean? And not only that, but the locker room's got to be like, dude, really? Him again? Like, come on, man. What the? And the defense is like, well, here we go, guys. Guess we're gonna have to win it all. And of course it didn't happen. However, before I was, you just wanted to break up the Gopher stuff, didn't you? I can't just be happy about my Gophers. You had to.
No. I think I'm becoming more of a PJ guy than many. It feels like that. I love Fleck because I know that he's in my opinion, he's a real guy that gets kids to buy. Now his personality may set some people off in some ways, and maybe they could consider him to be fake. But I think the guy's legit. But the more and more it seems like the media in this city is very tough on him. So I feel there's kind of a divide of Gopher fans of people either love the way he's going or PJ Fleck annoys the crap out of you. I'm on the other side. I think what he's doing is great. I think if you look at how they finished, it was phenomenal. But I could get how his personality may push people the other way. But I'm all for. I'm becoming more and more of a fan just because you're seeing results, and with kids that it means so much for kids to buy into coaches, and he is one of those guys where if kids buy in, I think he can work more with talent that maybe even doesn't have. So I'm all for him doing well, and that was a very good way for them to finish their season.
Well, and that wouldn't play in pro football. No way in hell. His shtick, not just to the media, but to the actual players. They'd be like, dude, I don't need the rah-rah stuff. You're not recruiting me. I'm under contract, dude. Just calm down. But you're right. I think maybe people I think it's a combination of two things. I mean, it's probably a little more than that, but from what I hear out of people, the fact that Brewster was like that. That cheesy-ass, corny guy. And so people go, oh, here we go again. This guy's you're going to warm up the chili, get the chili hot before the game. Yeah, we know all the punchlines, dude. You sucked as a head coach. So I think some of it's that with that, like you said, the personality, it's not for everybody. But, it really doesn't have to be for everybody because he's not coaching us. That's what I don't get.
True.
But you're right. People do they just go, that guy's so fake. But I agree. He's actually not fake. He's 100% real. It's just really kind of strange. But you're right, man. The buy-in is key. And however you can do it, I mean, the first thing you got to do when you get on the campus is you got to learn all these slangs, like 60 different slangs, language that only the team knows. And they know when someone says something, they know exactly what they mean type of thing. So it is a culture. It is kind of weird. And I also think that Jerry Kill, especially 2014, 2015, really started turning this thing around. And most of it was defensive. Most of it was on the defense. We had a running game at times, couldn't find a quarterback or couldn't get consistent play off the guy we had. And I think people are like, yeah, but dude, we were just on the cusp of going to the Big Ten championship game if we beat the Badgers in 2015. You know, and why are we losing? Last year we had 5 wins, and now we just barely got into a bowl game. And people just don't realize college football and the process you got to go through. But you're right. They finished strong, and just like Georgia Tech, when you can keep a team under 200 with 44 carries and 206 and no 100-yard rusher out of that. Their biggest rusher had 22 is that Marshall. He had 22, the quarterback. He had 22 carries, but he only had 75 yards out of that. And you know and I know a triple option, especially if you ran, to a T like they do, keeping them at 200 is a big win, especially when you run for 260 and Ibrahim, the redshirt freshman, goes off 2 touchdowns, 31 carries, 224 yards, and the 50. He had 2 touchdowns, but a 57-yarder was his long run. And when you can do that, you can't get behind the option. If you get behind on the option, they're going to tear your ass up. They're going to stay on schedule, and they're just going to beat you up and just wear you down. But we actually, and I say we as a Gopher fan, got it to 10-zip pretty early on, so we just kept it clicking, and the only one I was still a little worried about was the hometown kid from Minneapolis North, Tyler Johnson. I was a little worried. He led the Big Ten in receiving. He's now 2nd overall. Gopher history. He set the record, 12 touchdowns in 13 games. So I was a little worried because it's his junior, but it sounds like he's coming back. So that offense is going to be very good next year, both running and throwing the ball. A lot of youth all over the place. And then, 2 seniors that'll be running backs to go along with these youngsters and Ibrahim. And then Tyler Johnson will be a senior. And he did some damage on the defensive end, both recruiting, whether it was JUCO or a guy coming in. So, like a youngster coming in. And I'm sure there'll be a transfer or something too. So, really good way to end the season. And they were 3-4, and you're looking at it going, 3-4, dude. You look at what we had left on the schedule, and you thought, nah, Purdue was playing really well. They had beaten Ohio State. It just felt like they weren't. It was going to be 5. It was going to be 5-7. And by the way, if people don't realize out there, they were the youngest team in America when all pushed the last 6 games of the year. And they were young anyway, but they got even younger through some guys that got hurt, obviously. So it's on the up and up. That program is on the up and up, and I'm liking it. I did see that Wake Forest-Memphis game. It was kind of back and forth. It looked like it was going to be a blowout. Then it was like, I forgot what the score was stuck on, but it seemed like it was stuck on this score for a while. I remember watching it kind of on and off while I'm working. And to me, that was a fun game. That was a back-and-forth game. I think it got up to 28-10. Memphis took the lead. And, like I said, well, they'll probably run away with it. And Wake just kind of hung around. And I did get to see basically the second half of that with Wake winning 37-34. There was a touchdown run real late, under 40 seconds, I believe. So I did get a good chance to watch that pretty much at work and sitting down after work. So I got a good look at that one. Any other games that you want to discuss or something that stood out to you so far with the light part of the bowl schedule?
I thought it was a good way for a couple of teams to end their seasons. I thought it was a really nice win for Utah State. I mean, I don't think many people in the country had them getting 11 wins this year. I mean, they lost to Sparty first game of the year where they blew a game they could have won. And I mean, that's just impressive. I mean, that's a team that we never really speak of. And sure, they probably couldn't beat a Bama or a Clemson, but shit, to go 11-2, I mean, it really doesn't matter who you are. That's an impressive record. And same thing for UAB, a school that had football, canceled it for 2 years, brings it back. Last year they have a good season. This year they win their conference and they win their bowl game to go 11-3. I mean that's you really can't ask for much more. Again, Utah State, UAB, that's props to you. Again, maybe you're not the elite level of talent, but shit, if you win 11 wins nowadays in college football, like as a fan base, and you have to realize kind of what level you're at, that's incredible.
Yeah.
You really can't ask for much more than that, Chris. And I just want to compliment the teams that aren't quite the top echelon, but very, very good, successful seasons that just want to recognize, because those are teams that ESPN they'll talk about rarely. They'll get like a 5-second burst at most, but that's about it. So 2 very good seasons, and I would assume that UAB is going to have a good year again next year. And Utah State, I mean, this is something that could definitely help you recruiting, because I don't know the last time they've ever won 11 games or been a ranked team to finish the season. So hopefully some positive futures for them, like we just talked about with your Gophers.
Yeah, you're right, and that's a team that we've here and there kept an eye on, whether it was spread. Definitely kind of looked at that spread-wise, and I believe I picked them on that spread with Michigan State early in the year. But, yeah, I mean, you're right, man. It's all relative. It's all relative, and that is a big deal, even though, it'd just be a little blimp on the bottom line, like you said. We spend more time on teams like this than ESPN. That's a big deal. They got to be really happy. That's a lot of wins, dude. That is a lot of
Absolutely.
wins. So
to win 11 games, yeah, that says something.
Dude, I couldn't even tell you the last. Like offhand, I haven't. Well, I don't think I think I may have been not fully 1 year old since. You know what though? I was gonna say the Gophers. Because I think their last Big Ten championship was like 75 or 76, 77, I don't remember. But they probably didn't even maybe get to 11 wins, because that's back when you played 10 and 11 games. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So actually, now that I think about it, I don't remember the last time they got to 11. I'd have to Google it. So that's a big deal. And by the way, before we get into these predictions, if this is your first time listening to the College Ball Show, it streams live right here on blogtalkradio.com/Rope-A-Dope Radio. The College Ball Show can be found under the Rope-A-Dope Radio podcast umbrella on iTunes, aka Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Spreaker, Stitcher. TuneIn is another great source. We're also part of the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. That can be found everywhere. You can subscribe to it everywhere, including iHeartRadio. And it streams live on Spotify, too. That's the Grueling Truth Sports Podcast Network. Head on over to gruelingtruth.net. That's the gruelingtruth.net. They got a great sponsor over there, mybookie.ag. Head on over to the gruelingtruth.net. It's football, basketball, baseball, boxing, and everything in between. You can listen to a podcast. You can check out an article. I do weekly college football, and then later on college basketball prediction articles, a little bit of NBA stuff later too. And, like I said, you can link right there to mybookie.ag. So, and speaking of, we only got a handful of shows left of the College Ball Show. Obviously, the one we're doing right now. Then when all this stuff is, the next, Friday to Tuesday, there's a lot of games. Some of them are under the radar. We'll cover those as well. We're definitely going to predict some of these marquee matchup, games. And it's kind of cool that they get to have a Saturday this time around. So it's just like a normal college thing especially for the big games. It's kind of cool how that works. Sometimes, we've had a little discussion on, a couple years back, them putting it on, New Year's night and all that stuff. So it's kind of nice that they got their own little Saturday to do their job there and kind of get the spotlight. And then it kicks back Monday after pro football. But so we're going to do college football this show. Then we're going to, recap all that stuff and then predict the national championship. Then we'll have a recap show with the national championship. But we call it the College Ball Show because we go, late August all the way till mid-January after the national championship. We call it the college ball show because then we turn it into a weekly college basketball show. Okay, some people they're more on football. That's cool. If you like basketball, we will be on a weekly basis doing just like we did this show. We take that all the way to the national championship, and then we keep it going. We figure if you like college basketball, there's a good chance you're going to like the NBA playoffs. So we do a consistent show all the way through the NBA playoffs. We take that to the finals, past the NBA draft, and of course, NBA free agency. That goes until about October now, doesn't it, Marshall? I mean, Jesus Christ. Sometimes we're like, yeah, we're going to have to do another show. We used to be able to get it done, 2-3 days into July, and it'd be a wrap. Nah, not anymore, dude. Not anymore. So before we get to the big daddies, and of course I'm talking Bama and Oklahoma and Clemson and Notre Dame, it's kind of interesting. Bama and Clemson sounds like they're going to have some players missing. Usually that's the case when it comes to bowl season. You're always going to have a suspension here or a benching there, just like Marshall brought up N'Kosi Perry for Miami. He got disciplined. So that's kind of interesting. I wonder if that will make the difference. Obviously, Clemson potentially missing that defensive lineman, man. I mean, obviously they had because they brought their whole damn defensive line back, so they got some studs underneath them. But still kind of interesting. You got Clemson favored by 13, and you got Bama favored by 14. Like I said, before we get into those, though, I do want to we want to discuss some of this other stuff, whether it's number 17 Utah against number 22 Northwestern. That'd be kind of the hardcore barn burner stuff where you're like, dude, that actually could turn out to be a pretty good game. If Iowa, I guess you could say, gets back to mid-season form, they could actually put up a really good game against Mississippi State. Kentucky, number 14 Kentucky against Penn State. Penn State seems like they're pretty much offense, not a great defense. Whereas Kentucky, they can move the ball somewhat, especially running. They have that running attack, but their defense is really steady. And we talked about Kentucky a fair amount, especially that first month and a half or so, just because, man, it was pretty cool to watch them have a good-ass year, and here they are 9-3, a game away from that 10-win season, which is big, obviously, in college football. But Washington State, number 9, number 16, Ohio State. And then this will be interesting, offense against defense. But then again, it's not like Georgia just runs a different style of offense. They can put up some points as well. They're favored by 13. Number 5, Georgia, over number 15, Texas. It'll be kind of interesting there. Texas is kind of trying to find their defense. With under Charlie Strong, they were trying to find their offense. But then near the end of his reign, it seemed like you could see the pieces were in place, but then the defense struggled. So it'll be interesting to see if they can get to that 10 wins as well. Why don't we – and there's some other games that we'll mention to, hey, keep an eye on. You want to see where Michigan's head's at, Number 10, Florida is probably pretty happy at 9-3 this year, and they always match this game up. They'll try to match Michigan and Florida up. It just seems like if they're even near each other record-wise, you can pretty much bet that'll happen. You wonder which Michigan squad will show up, one with something to prove or one still kind of soaking, going, you know what, just sulking away that ass whooping that they got from Ohio State. You just never know how these teams are going to show up. Why don't we start with a somewhat like a minor one in there? And, I mentioned it. Number 17, Utah, who just kept grinding away this season and had a pretty damn good season all in all. And same with Northwestern. The way they started, usually you're good in the non-conference or great in the non-conference. You get the conference play and you get slowed down. That was just the opposite with Northwestern. They had a really solid season. They ended up winning, the West Side and getting to that, that title game. And gave Ohio State the Big Ten title game I'm speaking of. Gave Ohio State actually a pretty good game. How do you see this one playing out? Number 17 Utah against number 22 Northwestern. You got Utah sitting at a touchdown favorite.
I like Utah in this game, and I remember it from last year, simply due to the fact that Whittingham for Utah, his bowl record as a coach, I believe he's like 11-1. So, I'll just take Utah. Period. There's some coaches that have great bowl records, some don't. Some are new to it, but if you have a coach that just consistently wins bowl games, like I would say Utah is probably a slightly better team. Northwestern is a scrappy bunch, but when you consistently go to bowl games, you have a routine set up for your team that when the season ends, here's what we do, and you prove it over and over again. I'll go with that all the time. I mean, because to compare that, Mike Leach, who's probably the best offensive mind in the country, is 4-9 as a bowl coach.
I can't believe you just said that.
So
I can't believe you said he's the best offensive mind when we know the quota is coming up, dude. The quota is coming up.
For head coaches.
I'm proud
for head,
of it.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, actually, yeah. For Power 5.
Coaches.
Power 5.
Okay. For head
Power
coaches.
5 head coaches.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, but yeah, I'll get to my boy. Yes, I'll just take Utah just simply because the guy gets it done year in, year out, and that's a good enough reason for me to bet. I think as teams on paper, they're pretty evenly matched, but yeah, I'm just taking Utah with their track record.
Yeah, that's fair, and I'm pretty much with you. I think they defend a little bit better as well. They put up a tad more, well, not a tad more points. Actually, I just looked at it when I said that. That's funny. They put up about 5 more points a game. But then again, wow, that's kind of crazy. They give up less than 5 a game, or no, right on 5. Wow, okay, that's weird. So yeah, I'm going Utah too. I think that they just. I mean, obviously what you said, too, kind of just, I was like, yeah. In fact, I was kind of going back and forth, and then when you said that, I was like, yeah, that's right. He does have that great record. And they just, to me, they run the ball better, too, so I think they'll just be able to burn clock. It is 38-35, 7 minutes left. Baylor is hanging on to a lead, but Vandy has got the ball. So just hold on tight. Okay, so these 2 games tomorrow night are pretty damn good. Number 16 West Virginia versus number 20 Syracuse, and then number 13, we just mentioned it, Washington State versus number 24 Iowa State. Now I want to pick Iowa State and Syracuse, but being that I'm picking Syracuse, I think that they'll sneak game out. I believe it'll be a high-scoring game. This will be a fun game, though. I just think that they're a tad more overall good team rather than, West Virginia's pretty heavy, on the offensive side. But I want to pick Iowa State, right, Marshall? But then they're not at home. They're not at home. So should I not pick? If someone's thinking, damn, this year – they're 8-4, and this is the type of game they win. And I do remember the Gophers a handful of years back. I think it was 2016 or 2015. Yeah, 2016, I believe. They shut Washington State down, and it seems like to face that offense, to have a couple of weeks to study it, really helps out there. So you know what? I asked you a question, but I'm going to answer it myself and let you pick as well. Iowa State and Syracuse. That's who I'm going with. That little pair of games tomorrow night, which I'm really excited for those games.
Yeah, I'm going to follow suit with you and do the same. And speaking of bowl records, like Whittingham at Utah is almost undefeated. Mike Leach is 4-9. It does make you wonder, but again, there's something to be said for how you set up your prep, where it may be teams, like you said, Chris, have maybe it could simply be the fact that they have longer time to prep for you. Because Washington State's offense this year was phenomenal. But give it 3 weeks and maybe try to figure out some of the schemes that guy runs. So I'm with you. And I'm taking Syracuse, too, along with what you said, also because Will Greer's not playing. I mean, West Virginia's going to use a quarterback who's maybe seen the field at sparse moments this year when it was a blowout. I mean, I don't think Will Greer ever got hurt. I mean, it's not a guy who really has not run the offense all year besides in practice going against Syracuse, who's, had a pretty good year. I think it's too tough to throw a kid in who hasn't really played a full game this year and expect them to beat a Syracuse team who was, I would say, like a letter B type team. Like, they were not elite this year, but they were definitely a respectable squad and maybe the second to third tier of competition. So, yeah, I'm with you. I'll follow suit and take Syracuse and Iowa State. And, watch us do our show next week and say Washington State dropped like 50 on Iowa State. It'd be our luck. But I'm agreeing with you on those picks, my friend.
Yeah, and then they say, well, they don't got tape of this youngster, so all of a sudden he came out and just did all this stuff they'd never seen on tape.
Oh, yeah, Will Greer's prodigy.
They were scouting. Right, yeah, they were scouting his high school tape, and they couldn't find any good footage, so they just said, screw it, we'll just go with it. Yeah, that's pretty much a key there, and West Virginia I don't know. I think Syracuse I like their coach as well. I like both coaches, but it seems like they're a program on the rise to me. Well, we talked about it before. Michigan, number 7 against number 10 Florida, 10-2 against 9-3. Like I said, if they have anywhere near the same record, they tend to match these two teams up. It makes a lot of sense. This one's at the the Peach Bowl, I think. It makes a lot of sense, though. These are well-known, name brand, programs, and that they're going to sell some tickets. That's the key there. What's your gut telling you? Are they going to be out for revenge? Not revenge, but just out with the vengeance because they've just been stewing and brewing on that 62 points or whatever the hell they gave up to Iowa State, their bitter rival? Or are they going to be in the back of their head still lingering saying, what if we could have done this, we could have done that, and then Florida, I'm not going to say they're just happy to be there, but, they had a pretty good season. Do you think that Michigan's going to get caught slipping here, or do you think, Harbaugh will have these boys ready? Because we've seen this before, and sometimes, you're pissed off of what happened in the season still. You just can't get it out of your head.
I think that if Michigan's defense comes out just ready to play, that I don't think Florida's offense is going to do much on them. I'm not a huge believer in Franks for Florida after seeing them play some games. So, yeah, I think if Michigan comes out motivated, that defense should shut down the Florida offense. I don't think Florida's offense is Ohio State. Meyer out-schemed them, but I don't think that's going to happen with Florida's offense. So I'll actually take Michigan with the 5.5. I think that they'll finish on a good note. Their defense will shut down Florida, and that'll be good enough for them to get the W.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think you're right. And, if they relied so much on their offense, it might be a different story, but that was well said. Their defense, although it did show up that one day, it pretty much showed up all year long. So, Harbaugh has been pretty good in bowl games as well. I don't know his record offhand, but he tends to win them. That's for sure. What do you think of LSU in Central Florida? Central Florida still hasn't lost. They're 12-0. They want the invite to the national semis. I don't think LSU is going to come sleepwalking, coming into this game because, well, we've known Central Florida for a while. Not to mention, they took an injury to their quarterback. So, do you think LSU is just gonna kind of grind them down and finally kind of knock off this team, or do you think Central Florida will just rally and this is like their big this is their national championship game in a sense, because they say we belong. Well, they got to prove they belong.
I think that LSU's defense is, if they come out to play, Chris, I think that UCF is in big trouble. I mean, you don't have not Miley. Freaking what the hell?
I can't remember that damn name.
Starts with an M. Chris. Yeah, they don't got their quarterback in because he tore up his knee bad. Hopefully, McKenzie Milton. Hopefully he comes back. I mean, they said like ligaments were like torn. It's kind of like sound like the Bridgewater injury, like pretty scary stuff. So hopefully he comes back in one piece because he'd had himself a very impressive college career. I just think LSU's defense is going to be ready to play. LSU's probably going to be pretty pissed off still about that Texas A&M game and the way that whole thing ended, and you kind of go into the bowl game with a sour taste in your mouth. They obviously had a hell of a year. These couple of weeks were weeks where LSU's offense could probably find ways to improve. I mean, because UCF scored points this year, but against Memphis it was a track meet. Against not Central Florida, against Florida International and the other Florida schemes, like they're a high running offense, so their defense is pretty average at best. So I think with LSU's offense having time to prep and LSU's defense, I don't see UCF out scheming them. I'm definitely going to be betting LSU. I just think there's too many disadvantages for UCF. And after they beat Auburn last year in the bowl game, I don't think Orgeron's going to come in and take them lightly. And I just think there's too many boxes being checked on the LSU side for me to want to bet UCF. And I think last I checked, it was like a 6-point spread, give or take. Rather than maybe it'll get bumped up a little bit more, but I'll definitely take LSU on the points.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because on ESPN it's not listed right now, so I don't. I was
it
wondering
had been
what
6.
that spread was. Okay.
Again, I could see it maybe going up a little bit more. I don't think it would go above like 9 or 10, but maybe 6 to 8. We'll see. But because obviously there's no news that Milton would be coming back. But
right.
Yeah, I don't know. I would assume maybe 6 or 7, and I would definitely take LSU.
Yeah, I mean it's a tough one, losing that QB, and there's a lot of momentum, and it does suck that it's probably going to come to an end. This nice little winning streak, not nice little one, this really awesome winning streak, but it is what it is, and until they start adding some teams, it's going to be tough. And obviously we'll see what they do as a program in the future as far as their non-conference games. And sometimes you can schedule them, and when you get there 3 years later, 4 years later, 5 years later, sometimes you're not, you don't have the same coach, you don't have this, you don't have that, or those teams you scheduled, are just not that good that year. So it's got to be a little frustrating, no doubt about it. I like Kentucky over Penn State. Penn State's the favorite 6.5. I kind of feel like they're going to find a way to contain Michigan State with their defense. Here we are talking these SEC defenses. Of course, it is McSorley's last freaking game, isn't it? It is McSorley's last game.
Yeah.
Huh. Dang. I'm still going. Maybe it's just my biasness with, us following this Kentucky team. And by the way, it's 38-38. Baylor has the ball right basically at midfield, 2:30 left. I'm going to go Kentucky. I'm going Kentucky with the win. I know you don't like McSorley, but are they going to win one for the McSorley?
Man.
Kind of a tough game to pick. I want to say Penn State, but we need some upsets in here, damn it.
I mean, all Kentucky's going to do is just run the ball, try to win like 20-14. Penn State's kind of the opposite of make flashy plays and try to score 40. This is one of those, you always talk like boxing matches, like two different schemes. Like these are teams that have completely different mindsets. Like Penn State, I think if Penn, I'll take. I think Penn State wins. Unfortunately, I hate saying that. I just think that Kentucky's offense has been such a grind all year. I'm not sure if you can A, slow down Penn State to hold them like to 20 or under, and B, can you, if you get into a shootout, can you actually move up and down the field? Because all the games Kentucky won this year, it pretty much was like 20-10, 21-11. You know, they played incredibly tough defense, but for bowl games with all the prep time, you normally don't see that many low-scoring affairs. So I would lean Penn State, and I hate saying that, but from a betting standpoint, I would go Nittany Lions.
We got Texas and Georgia. Georgia's
Oh
sitting
God,
at a 13
shoot me.
spread. You know, is Georgia gonna kind of feel like, damn it, dude?
Yeah,
we had
yeah.
our chance. Is that I like Texas to at least sneak under that 13 points, but can the Longhorns go out with the bang and get that 10th win they have been coveting for a while?
Yeah, that spread, I think that one makes me scratch my head. But I mean, should Georgia be favored? Sure, but by almost 2 touchdowns, like, you know, we always normally do see that team that lays down. Like, the motivational angle for Georgia in this game is what? I mean, like you said, to, I guess, win the bowl game, like that yeah, and you know that. Their fan base is still wondering why the hell did we run a fake punt when we had a Final Four berth on the line potentially there. You know, that still probably doesn't make sense to those guys. So, Chris, there's no way I would maybe bet Texas. I could not bet Georgia in this game, period. I think that Texas is going to find a way to score. I don't think Texas's defense will slow down Georgia's running game, but the 13-point spread just doesn't make sense to me because, as you mentioned, the motivational angle is definitely there for Texas. This is the biggest bowl game Texas has been in probably 6, 7, 8 years. And so they should be hyped for this. They want to finish on a good note. This is a high moment for them. Georgia's probably thinking, damn, we should be playing in 2 days from now instead of like 5 days from now. So, minus 13. I would gladly stay away from that. And I would take Texas in that game, my friend.
I'm going Georgia, but I do like Texas to cover as that dog. It will be a tighter game than what Vegas is telling us. Number 6, Ohio State. Number 9, Washington. First of all, before we get into the prediction, I have Ohio State, by the way. Win one for the Giffer, of course. But the Giffer in this place, in this moment, is Urban Meyer. And Bob Day has taken over. I'm sure he comes with, a great credentials, and he's, he wouldn't be taken over if he was a bad coach and this, that, and the other. But you just don't know in the long run. And maybe Michigan State too, in Penn State, maybe they're like, hey, we may have a chance. We may have a chance to get out of there. But you got to be pretty happy that Urban Meyer is going to be out of college football for at least a couple years till he gets back in health, feels better, doesn't have headaches, and then comes back.
Did you see that crock that he's teaching a class? He's going to co-teach a class at Ohio State on leadership.
I mean, he's led a lot of troops past. I mean, Nick Saban has got to be fucking happy as hell. Like, hey, that's the only guy that can beat me straight up, especially in bowl games. I think it's 0-2 when it came to those bowl games. But that's crazy because I guess that must just keep him on to be able to do, because he's like the help you out athletic director too. That's gonna be he's the co-athletic director. He's like an assistant, an advisor. That type of thing. A closer, basically. He's a closer, dude. They're going to bring him in when they're freaking up against the wall and they need this kid. Bring in the closer. You're right, though, the leadership. That's funny.
I mean, I could give you a couple of classes he could teach, to build off his brilliant repertoire of coaching. But in my opinion, I legit believe that he was given kind of a little bit of a lighter punishment from Ohio State, and in the background there was a handshake saying, okay, dude, you're done for this year, but you're going to stick around here and do something. I feel this was like something that was told to him by Ohio State off the record of like, okay, you're done coaching, sure, but you need to stick around and do something to maybe make your image look better. Like, I don't think Meyer's teaching a class just because he wants to. Like, that's such a crock of shit. He somehow got conned into this. and he's following through with it. Who knows? He'll probably only teach it for a year or semester, but it just seems so suspicious that he's teaching a class on character and like leadership. It's like, are you what? Seriously? Okay, But aside from that, that's kind of why I like Washington to win the game. I mean, they're a team, as we mentioned, that finished the year on a high note. They beat Washington State, which we didn't expect them to do in the Snow Bowl, and then they beat Utah for the Pac-12 title. And now you're going to come into a game where the whole world's all talking about Ohio State, but again, you lose a coach. You have so many different angles. I just think Washington's like, dude, we lost to Auburn this year. We got a little slow of start, but since then we've been playing some damn good football. And they have no media to worry about. They're just doing their thing, and they're going to finish on a good note. I actually like them to win, so I will take Washington plus the 6.5 to pull out the upset against the Ohio State.
Do you like the over/under 57.5? I mean, I know that Washington defense is really good. That's what's keeping it under 60 or even more. Do you think that'll be under 57.5?
I would lean under because I think both those teams with the time to prep defense will be pretty well prepared. Yeah, I would definitely go under and Washington.
And I'm going to go over, and I'm going the Ohio State University. 45-38. Baylor got it in. It's 4th and 5 with a minute left. Vandy's got the ball at their own 23 in their own territories. So they got a lot to do to try to tie that game up, no doubt about it. Is that it? I believe as far as the Big Daddies go, I think that's it. Stanford and Pitt. I like Stanford. I think it'll be a good game. I'm kind of going through some of the hardcore barn burners. Number 23, I'm going to say it again, ranked number 23, Mizzou, Oklahoma State. They are 6-6, Oklahoma State. Wow, that's crazy. 9-point spread as a favorite. Your Mizzou club, dude. How you feeling right about now? And did you think you'd be sitting at 8-4 with a ranked squad at the end of the year? You gotta be feeling pretty good, Marshall.
Yeah, you do. They've continuously now dug themselves in a hole to start the year, and they've continuously beat up on the teams below them in the SEC East. So, again, 8-4 is not bad, but they seem to struggle to win any big games. But nonetheless, if you win against Oklahoma State, that's a 9-win season. I think the 9-point spread's a little crazy. I do think that Locke will be throwing the ball all over the place. I mean, this could easily be a 45-44. The spread's 74.5. I would look over. So, I still think that Odom has steps to make Mizzou a better program, but I think he's going in the right direction. I think that this next year is his last year if they don't make a jump up or beat someone of high caliber. But it would definitely help to, like we talked about Minnesota, finish the year off with winning a bowl game that gives you some energy going into the summer. And that 9-point spread scares me a little, Chris. I think Mizzou could win. I think if you're doing offense versus offense, I like our offense against Oklahoma State's, but the point spread scares me a bit. But and hey, let's talk about USC's bowl game. Oh wait, they're not in one because we still kept our head coach. Son of a god damn it! I can't believe USC's not in a bowl game.
You kind of got to be happy with who they brought in to run that offense, though.
Very true.
I sure wish Miami would have done that shit. I'll tell you that. I sure wish they would have because, we got to pull the reins back on Rick for offense. So he needs an offensive coordinator. Period. Obviously, this year really proved it, and like half of last year did as well. But yeah, do you want to break down that Trojan game anymore, or you're good?
Yeah, it's a Reggie Bush against Lendell White in a 40-yard dash.
We can start breaking down next year's schedule if you want. But anyway, number 2 Clemson undefeated versus number 3 Notre Dame undefeated, 12-0 and 13-0. There is a slight possibility that and I say slight because we don't, as of right now, I don't believe we know the date where the B sample's coming back, and the A sample for the defensive line, because it's really the defensive lineman that, is something that Clemson's worried about. The other guys, not so much. But, hey, hold on. The B samples did come by 5 hours ago. I was just going to check. Okay, so Dexter Lawrence is for sure suspended. They always have the A sample, and then they have the B sample. And you got to wait on the B sample because you have it stored away, and you open it up. So it says the suspension is upheld. They got two other guys, but it really doesn't matter. I know it was a trace amount, and I'm starting to find out a lot more about this stuff due to boxing and a lot of the VADA testing that they got going on. And, an energy drink can actually spark a trace amount, and that's what it sounds like it was. But, that's the whole point, that it is what it is. But the B sample came back with it. So it'll be interesting to see what that does to his stock. It'll also be interesting to see if it plays a part in Saturday's game. Do you think it'll play a part? And who do you like in this ball game, man? Notre Dame really started out strong considering, the first 6 games, Michigan and Stanford, and they were playing some really good teams. They played Northwestern down the stretch. They played some good squads, but it started to thin out just a little bit down the stretch anyway. I did like how they – you know what? I kind of feel like for Notre Dame, and I'm kind of scatterbrained here, sorry, but they played great against Syracuse, did Notre Dame. And I kind of feel like Notre Dame wanted to keep playing instead of having this break. But how do you see this one go down? You have Clemson, who, you think, well, Notre Dame can run the ball, but then Clemson, you go, no, actually Clemson can really run the ball. They also stop the run, and I guess that's where I'm at with this. I think that they'll be able, Clemson, they are a juggernaut with defensive linemen, dude. We've seen it time and time again, and although it's not going to be great for them, I think that they'll have a young stud who's been just, chomping at the bit to start and play, and probably thought he was going to start and play this last year because he assumed a lot of these guys, especially those two main guys, who were, guaranteed first rounders at the time, and still are, except maybe Lawrence with this PED test, matters what the NFL thinks about the trace amount. But how do you see this one going down? Notre Dame, like I said, the way they started and really the way they finished that Syracuse game, I'm wondering if they peaked.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the transition, Chris, of going to Ian Book at quarterback was the difference they had to make. I mean, their yards per play average. I remember we did a show and I talked about how their yards per play for a while they went from like 4 yards a play to up to 7. So, I mean, Book was the change their offense needed. But have they played a team, even similar to Clemson this year? They really haven't. I mean, Notre Dame, during the middle of their season, they had a stretch of they were winning games, but the scores were not impressive. Now, again, obviously, they're not a world beater team, so they're not going to go killing around. But I think if you're talking about Clemson, who's been in the boxing ring and fighting with Bama year after year after year, have we seen this Notre Dame team prove that they can be in this fight with Clemson? And I just don't think they can. I mean, Notre Dame's, sure, they beat Michigan, but that was first game of the year. Michigan came out looking like crap. And, from that point on, Notre Dame did beat teams, but, USC this year, not that good of a team. I give
Stanford.
Notre Dame credit because, Stanford, they had it down here.
Just okay. No? Yeah, right.
So I think when you're trying to compare this game, it's a little bit hard because Clemson's been in this situation for the past 3 to 4 years now. They've been ready to face the top dogs. And Notre Dame, you ran the table, but I mean, you beat Northwestern by 10, you beat Pitt by 5. You beat up on Florida State. Like, good for you. You know, Syracuse, their quarterback got dinged up in that game. I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses, but I just don't think you're ready to face a Clemson team who, after they got their quarterback stuff figured out and they escaped through the Syracuse injuries, I mean, they pretty much just killed everybody. They've not had to worry about people. And now you give that D-line time to prep against Notre Dame offense, who's going to be facing the best defense they've played all year. I can't see in my head how they're going to win the game. All Clemson has in their mind probably is, we want Bama again. Let's get it done. Okay, you have one defensive guy out, okay, but I mean, hell, they got probably, like you said, 9 or 10 guys just dying to play. So
right.
I would lean a little bit away, Chris, from the -13. I do think that spread's probably about right, but I don't have the guts to bet it. But I definitely like Clemson to win. I just think this is too big of a stage for Notre Dame, because I don't think their talent is ready to match up punch for punch with, I don't know why I keep going to boxing quotes, but I just don't think they're ready to go. Subliminal communication here today at midnight.
Right.
But I've not seen enough from Notre Dame this year to get me to believe that they can legit beat Clemson in this game. Just ignoring the point spread, I just don't see Clemson losing this game to Notre Dame, barring a quarterback injury, just because I don't think they just have the keys to get it done.
Yeah, and that was going to be my next question. You answered it. What about the spread, though? Can they fit under? You're right. It could be a tight game, and then Clemson makes it look a little bit wider than it was.
Sure.
And a lot of times, that's how this Vegas shit works, right? Where you're just like, yeah, this is, there it goes. Yep, they fucking were right again, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm with you, and I am a little gun shy at that spread. I gotta admit, that's funny that you said the exact same thing, because I was gonna say, man, I just don't know. I think they could sneak under there, but they've been there, done that. Clemson has, and Dabo's gonna have them ready to go. And Lawrence, man, he's ready to. He really was a big difference maker this season, and I mean, to have I just don't. I wonder if that defensive lineman is going to be out now next week, or if they win in the national championship game too. I don't know. I'm assuming he will be out. It'll be at least 2-game suspension. Well, it won't be a 2-game. It'll be just 2-game suspension. But I'm assuming that dude's played his last game and he didn't even realize it. But you never know. Maybe just because it's a trace amount that there will only be one game. Who knows? But I'm with you. I think Clemson will get the job done. I look for it to be a competitive game for a while, though. Here we go again. Number 1 Alabama. Kind of sounds like a broken record. Number 1 Alabama, 13-0, undefeated against 12-1, 4th-ranked Oklahoma. And first of all, are you okay with the Heisman? Are you okay with who won the Heisman? I did forget. Even though Tua seemed like it was in the bank until he had a bad half of football. It just didn't play that well. Obviously, what's his toes from Ohio State? He beat Drew Brees' record. The touchdowns in the yardage. That wasn't good enough to win the Heisman. Are you good? Are you good with Murray winning the Heisman? And then beyond that, because we never did talk about that, even off air, and I'm just curious. But also, we know that sometimes it's a jinx, especially if you're going against the better team. That kind of has a track record of, oh yeah, go ahead, win the Heisman. We'll take home, the real trophy, the real hardware. How do you see that going down? And then, are you good with the baseball player? I mean, the quarterback playing football this year. We'll see, with Oakland and whatnot. But are you good with that?
I think it's very unfortunate for Oklahoma to kind of give Alabama unintentional, like newspaper headings or like trash talk. Like, I mean, I was watching a video on Twitter of some Alabama D lineman they asked him a question about Kyler Murray, and he was like, "Oh, Kyler Murray, he's and then he bit his tongue. Is like, next question. So from winning the Heisman, and this nothing, Murray has nothing to apologize for, but you've pretty much pissed off the whole country of Alabama. I saw when during the Heisman ceremony, like 8 guys on Bama like tweeted something, and so
Right.
and not that it's Murray's fault, but it's like, dude, like Alabama is a good enough team to start with, and they want to win, and obviously, but then they add this like extra fire on, like, fuel on the fire. It's like, dude, that sucks for Oklahoma. And in my opinion, Chris, the only reason Murray got it was, I guess, if you look strictly at numbers and you like shut off half your damn brain. Okay, Murray had better numbers per se, but Tua like didn't play in almost like
The
40%
fourth quarter,
of the season.
Fourth quarter. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
because they
second half.
Yeah,
Let alone fourth quarter.
they killed everyone. So you're really going to punish a guy that was that good that he only had to play a half, and his numbers weren't that far behind Murray. I know they weren't as good, but I mean, I thought it was. I didn't think it was the best decision because, yeah, I mean, obviously Murray's numbers were better, but if Tua had played full games like Murray did, oh my God, his numbers would have been outrageous. So, I didn't quite get the judging thoughts in the head in that process, but I mean, Murray had a great year. He just had the second best year in the country. So now you have that momentum going into the game.
Potentially third best too. I mean,
sure,
if we're
yeah.
being honest,
Sure.
It could have been
with
third.
You're right. So I think that puts that. I mean, that motivates Bama more than I need to be motivated. And now, Tua's like, okay, dude, you won the Heisman. Well, let's see who puts up more points in this game. So I think that was unintentional, trash talk. And I mean, to get into the game, now it's like, dude, the 14-point spread is probably fair. It's pretty. I think Vegas realizes how good Bama is, and if you're Oklahoma, your defense, I mean, you are going to need to find. I legit don't know how they're going to do it. Now, if this had been last year's game, Chris, which would have been a blessing in the sky, I would love to hypothetically see Baker Mayfield go against Tua, because then you would have a quarterback. I mean, 2 quarterbacks who could like legit go punch for punch. But and I think Baker could cover up what Oklahoma's defense. And Kyler Murray, again, the guy won the Heisman, but I don't think he's good enough to legit go like every single drive and score. I mean, Bama scored 29 points on the best defense in the country on a home given night where they had everything in the world going against them. And they scored 29, and their defense said, screw this. Yeah, everyone talks about our offense. We're not going to let you all score. So I realize that Oklahoma's
back-to-back
offense,
weeks too, where they played ranked teams and then pitched 2 shutouts.
And Mississippi State, yeah. And I admit that obviously LSU's offense is not as good as Oklahoma, sure. But Bama, I mean, Tua's not going to get benched in the first half. Hell, he might play him just to spite it. But, I mean, how is Oklahoma's defense going to slow down Bama? This Oklahoma team had issues with Texas. They had issues with Oklahoma State. I mean, again, they're a respectable team with a great offense and a average to below average defense. So how can a below average defense slow down an offense that's going to be incredibly motivated with the quarterback being pissed off? I mean, last year I think could be a game. This year, I think Oklahoma could score 28 points, Chris. I think they could easily get 28 to 30. But if Tua plays the whole game, what's to keep Bama from dropping 52? What's gonna? I mean, Oklahoma's defense legit needs to get at least probably a touchdown or 2, or a 1 touchdown and a special teams touchdown, because I just don't see how you go. I just don't see how they stick in the whole game with it. I hope it's a fun game to watch. I'm excited for it, but I just think you got your hands full, and your defense is just, they're not going to change overnight. They've been crappy all year. They've had their games where they've done better, but shit, Texas scored 45 on them when I went to see them in person, or 48. And Texas's offense is nothing compared to Tua. That's all I got. I could repeat the same point in different ways, but Bama's offense is probably going to score at least 45 points in the game. And as much as we love Tua this year, again, I think that defense kind of got pissed off a little bit. Like, dude, okay, Tua is all this. Nick Saban's a defensive guy, and that defense, maybe it's not his best Bama defense, Chris, but it's sure not a garbage defense.
Yeah, that's for sure. I'll say this, Murray. Georgia had a pretty damn good defense last year, and they went toe-to-toe with Georgia. But they're not what they are offensively, this year compared to what Alabama is this year on offense, obviously. I think in the college game that, Murray is pretty close to what you can produce with Mayfield because of the running abilities as well. I think he can run better. Not that Mayfield can't run, but he maybe he just picks his spots a little bit better. I don't know, but I wonder how long. Yeah, I mean, you can't keep matching, and then all of a sudden they're going to have that 7-minute drive, 80 yards, 19 plays. You know what I mean? Jesus Christ! Yeah, we're done. So yeah, good game for a while, sure. 77.5. But
that's all you need to know.
I just looked at it. It just hit me. But you got an offense that averages 48. The other averages 49.5. The problem is, like you said, 15 points to 32.5, basically. So they double giving up that many. We know they reside in the Big 12, and you're going to give us more points. You're probably not going to have the number. Well, you're not going to have a top 10 defense probably, and still be able to score anyway. But yeah, I think the writing's on the wall, man. We're going back to a Bama. That's what it seems like. I'm right there with you, and I'm actually excited about the matchup if it happens. I just anytime Clemson's shown as a program, as a coach, as the skill players, as the meat and potatoes of the team, that they can do it. They're not afraid of this team. So I'd rather have Clemson than somebody else because it's like, hey, or not everybody, but if Clemson's there, why not? Because they're not gonna be intimidated. Like you said, they've gone, punch for punch. So, and they've knocked them out. So it'll be interesting to see how this all works out. We'll definitely be back to do another show as far as recapping all these games and then predicting the national title game. Is there anything that you'd like to mention before we get out of here, sir?
I think that if you are just enjoying watching bowl games, make sure, like you said, to watch tomorrow. I mean, and I know we talked about Iowa State, Washington State. We talked about why am I drawing a blank?
Iowa State, Washington State. What's the other game?
Oh, not Texas Tech. No, West Virginia, Syracuse. And then even to kick off the day, you got Purdue and Auburn. I mean, tomorrow you got 12:30 kickoff, 4:15, 8 o'clock. I mean, if you just like enjoy watching the games. I mean, all these games are close point spreads with respectable teams. I know it does suck that Will Greer's not going to play, but I mean, from his standpoint, dude, you're about to be. I mean, maybe the first quarterback drafted now that Herbert just went back to college, which, I mean, that dude, everyone fell in love with him. And I remember one show, I was like, dude, let's hold on, Chris. Like, let's see what the kid's got. And clearly you heard, dude, you need to go back. So I mean, obviously makes sense.
I'm glad he made that decision, man.
Yeah, and why go and pull an Aaron Rodgers? He sit at the draft table forever. But just for games tomorrow, pay attention. You got SEC, Big Ten. It should be a good day of bowls tomorrow. I think so far we've had some good games so far, but not many impressive bowl games. So I think now we're going to start getting closer to the point where we're getting to see teams that are more highly ranked play other teams that are highly ranked and get a little more competition to enjoy. And it's a pretty nice setup because you got college football tomorrow for a good slate of games. You get the championship. You get an NFL Sunday with a bunch of teams on the line for playoffs and positioning. Then you get back to bowl games next week. So it's a very, very good time to be a sports fan. And obviously, everyone in the country loves Duke college basketball, so I'll be enjoying ripping on that as soon as college football ends. Those are my closing remarks, my friend.
So you got to be already sick as Zion, huh?
Yeah.
That dude can defend though. That guy
He can play basketball.
I
yeah.
love his effort, man. I love his effort. But yeah, that'll be there. We're still college football. Don't lose us. We're still college football, or we won't lose you, I should say. I'll flip that. We won't lose you. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and get out of here. You want to get us out of here per usual, sir?
Yeah. And one last note, one good note for Oklahoma, and I wasn't sure about this from when the championship game ended, but Hollywood Brown is going to play. So Oklahoma's best receiver, biggest playmaker, along with Kyler Murray, is probably going to suit up, which is huge because he's one guy that can probably run through Bama's secondary for a deep pass. They got him, but they're going to need like two more.
Missing too, don't they? Doesn't Bama have someone somewhat important on offensive line or something like that? They got suspended.
Yeah,
they got
suspended.
Starting left guard, Deontay Brown. That's the only one that really matters. Starting left guard will not play. He's done for the year.
Well, at least you got Hollywood Brown. He's going to have the game of his life. But who knows? Maybe it will happen. So until then, enjoy watching football tomorrow. Enjoy watching football Saturday. Keep watching football. Call in if you want for our next show. Like you said, we got a couple more college bowl shows to do, and it's a great time of the year for football. So as always, we're gonna roll out of here at about 12:11 a.m. I'm gonna see if the Warriors beat Rip City in basketball. We got so much stuff going on. So as always, thanks for listening to the show. Feel free to call in our next time. Make some picks and gambling. I always like talking all that fun stuff. So enjoy the rest of the night. The boys are out. Peace.